Alysha Hanin was born on December 10, 1977. In 2001, 24-year-old Alysha was a mother of a 3-year-old son named Adrian living in Miami, Florida. She was described as a very sweet, smart girl who got caught up in a bad circle. She was actually a New Zealander and was known to travel quite a bit. It also appears she went to high school in California and would make monthly trips back there after moving to Miami. Unfortunately, she began using drugs and working at an escort service and had also partied on Epstein's Island. She also had multiple names she used. Her first names were Alysha, Krisangi, and Yami, while her last names were Annan, Sink, and Devi. In late 2001, Alysha broke up with her boyfriend, Mark, a lawyer in Florida, who was allegedly abusive and had been arrested on battery charges after beating her up. Sorry that Mark's face is blurred, but it's the only photos I could find of him. She had also made the decision to move back to New Zealand to start a new life, but would sadly never get the chance. In November of 2001, Alysha returned to New Zealand to drop Adrian off with her mother, Sia Sink. On Alysha's 24th birthday on December 10, 2001, she said goodbye to her mother and boarded a plane back to the United States to tie up some loose ends. That was the last time her mother ever saw her alive. She arrived back in Miami and began staying at the now-closed Shore Club in South Miami Beach. On January 6, 2002, Alysha left the hotel at 4 a.m. to buy some food. After leaving, she was never heard from again. Sia had no idea anything was wrong until a friend of Alysha in Miami called to tell her that her daughter was missing. Unfortunately, due to Alysha being involved in drugs, Interpol didn't make the case a priority, so Sia hired a private investigator and traveled with him to Florida. For the next 10 days, they began speaking with anyone who might have been connected to Alysha. They learned that Alysha's belongings, including her passport, luggage, purse, ID, and credit cards, were found inside her hotel room. To them, it clearly looked like she planned on returning to the hotel. Strangely, after speaking with her ex, he left the state of Florida and her family has not been able to find him since. She then spoke with investigators who informed her of some of Alysha's activities she was involved in. Apparently, she would travel the world on private jets with CEOs and was paid money to be their escort. Unfortunately, it didn't help locate her. Some believe her ex-boyfriend Mark is somehow involved in her disappearance. It's also of note that he was disbarred in 2007 after only being a lawyer for 7 years. It's now been over 20 years since Alysha went missing, and her mother and son continue to search for her. But as of May 2024, Alysha has never been found, and this case remains unsolved. In the summer of 2022, 31-year-old Brittany Ann Miller was living in Smithville, Tennessee with her husband and young daughter, Samantha. On the 4th of July, 2022, Brittany would strangely go missing from her home. She was last seen at her house between 4 and 5 p.m. Missing along with her was her medicine, dentures, and cell phone. After being reported missing, investigators tried to ping her phone but were unsuccessful. Huge search efforts got underway, and after a year of searching, a total of 187 acres around her home on Hurricane Ridge Road were covered. Unfortunately, all searches led to a dead end. A little over 2 months later, someone saw her husband at the local fair with a new woman, which has some believing he was involved in Brittany's disappearance. However, the investigator made a point to say they have not identified a suspect and do not want people making accusations online. I'm not making accusations, but I do find it strange that her husband's name hasn't been mentioned online. A lot of the details in the case haven't been released to the public, besides the details on the massive search efforts that have taken place. Sadly, as of 2024, she has not been found, and this case remains unsolved. Jacqueline Michelle Graham was born on September 7, 1968, and went by her middle name. In the spring of 1988, 19-year-old Michelle was living in a garage apartment in the Spring area of Harris County, Texas. She'd been living with her boyfriend, 23-year-old Joseph Leal, but moved out after they broke up. She was also a student at Houston Community College, studying interior design. On April 7, 1988, Michelle drove to her friend's house in Steeplechase. Then they headed to the now-defunct 6th Avenue Club near Highway 6 in West Little York. Joseph showed up at the club, and the two were seen having a heated argument. At that point, her friend had already left, and Michelle was left alone inside the club. Around midnight, she left and was last seen sitting alone on a bridge abutment at the intersection of West Little York and Highway 6 around 2:20 that morning. The next day, her nude body was found by a worker unloading merchandise behind an Academy store along FM 1960. She had been sexually assaulted, stabbed multiple times, and then shot to death. Her killer even ran over her afterward. Her blood-soaked clothes were found in a dumpster at a gas station not far from the club. Joseph was interviewed several times, and according to him, the argument started out of jealousy. Other potential suspects were also interviewed, but none led to her killer. Investigators even went to her funeral and made notes of people who were in attendance, but once again, nothing. In 2007, Michelle's bloody clothing was resubmitted to a crime lab. Investigators hoped new technology would reveal the killer's DNA, but no suspect was found, and as of 2024, this case remains unsolved. This case involves Leila Cavett, and I included it in the Unsolved because it is not officially solved yet. In the summer of 2020, 21-year-old Leila Cavett was the mother of a 2-year-old son living in Dawsonville, Georgia. In the early morning hours of July 26, 2020, a lady found Camden walking in the parking lot of the Edge Apartments in Miramar, Florida, crying his eyes out. She picked him up and began looking for his mother, but there was no sign of her, so she called the police. The police were unable to find Leila as well, so they released a photo of Camden to social media. Thankfully, his aunt, Gina Lewis, in Jasper, Alabama, saw the photo and notified the police. An immediate concern was where her sister Leila was. It was also shocking that her nephew was found in Florida, considering Leila and Camden lived north of Atlanta in Dawsonville, 700 miles from Miramar. Gina then sent Leila a Facebook message and strangely received a thumbs up. After informing the police about Camden's identity and the Facebook message, Gina and some family began the long drive down to Miramar. In the meanwhile, investigators began their search for Leila, putting out a bulletin to look for her mid-90s white Chevy Silverado 3500 truck with a red tailgate. 3 days later, on July 29th, after receiving a tip about a possible sighting of Leila, they found her truck in a Walmart parking lot with a broken window 2 miles away from the apartment where Camden was found. Investigators also discovered surveillance that showed Leila and Camden at a Cracker Barrel in Vero Beach on the night of July 24th, 2 days before Camden was found wandering the apartment complex alone. They were then seen at a racetrack gas station in Hollywood, Florida, multiple times on the 25th. You can see Leila's truck enter the gas station parking lot, and there was also footage found of her getting in and out of a Lexus sedan. After finding her truck at the Walmart, police noticed a man come up and put a garbage bag over the broken window. They detained the man and identified him as 38-year-old Shannon Ryan. On August 9th, Ryan posted on Facebook that he and Leila had known each other since January of 2019. He said they met after her car broke down in Muscle Shoals, Alabama, and she knocked on his door asking for help. He allegedly let her stay the night, and then upon learning she had nowhere else to go, he continued to let her and Camden move in with him for a couple of months. He claims that after she moved back to Georgia, the two stayed in touch. This is where things get very strange. Apparently, Ryan is a self-proclaimed witch who is a master of the occult arts. He told authorities he was visiting his witchcraft apprentice in Florida in July of 2020 when he noticed Leila had bought the truck.
Energetically, the heart chakra is rejecting that physical heart and throwing your body into chaos. And you need someone who has attained a certain level of mastery that can take part of his life force and put it into you and fix the problem energetically. So I came down to Hollywood, Florida, because one of my students was sick and having to go to the hospital 2 or 3 times a week. So now here it is, now to rush this woman to the hospital. and they won't even let me go up to see her. And she was laying in the hospital dying. This same woman who I came down here and started pouring energy into and started healing and started training her to be my apprentice because she's finna assist me. And so now, while she's in the hospital, and now I'm not gonna leave Florida. Why am I not gonna leave Florida? Or why wouldn't I leave Florida? For 2-3 weeks, I stayed right there in Florida, and I don't even live in Florida, and hung out because I'm waiting for her to get out the hospital because she ain't from Florida. And I don't want to leave her stranded without no help, no support, or no family. And now I'm getting ready to go down here to Key West on the beaches and go down here to the Everglades and deal with these alligators. And Christina was the person that was supposed to be helping me, but she can't because she's been in the hospital for 2-3 weeks at this time. I'm back on the phone with Leila Cavett. She said, oh, I had a car, a Cavalier or something, and I traded it for a truck. I said, you traded your car for a truck? She was like, yeah, it got a couple little problems with it, but yeah. So I'm like, Leila, show me the truck. And she showed me the truck. And I'm like, Leila, I need a truck like that. I need a truck just like that because I'm getting ready to go down here to the Everglades. And I don't want to go down here in the car. I said, let me buy that truck from you. I'm not selling my truck. I'm like, Leila, come on, send me the truck. Leila's supposed to be coming down to Florida at this time. She's supposed to be coming down since Christina in the hospital, and she's going to help me till Christina gets out the hospital. So she's going to be the one holding the cameras and helping me. Y'all like, why are you getting Leila? Because she's a survivor. I'm going out here into the woods, into the Everglades. You don't take nothing but survivors with you. And so now she says she wants the job. She says she wants to be my apprentice. She says she wants to finish her learning.
He said he messaged her and wanted to buy it, and she agreed. So they made plans to meet up and for her to stay and become his new apprentice. It also turns out that Ryan drove a 2004 gold Lexus ES 300 sedan, just like the one seen on surveillance at the racetrack gas station. Arriving in Florida, she allegedly sold him the vehicle for $3,000, and then they spent the day together at the beach. After arriving back at the gas station that evening, he claimed that Leila and Camden left with some men in a car. He claims he kept coming back to the gas station hoping she would return, but she never did. However, the FBI does not believe his story. Based on their evidence, they said Leila never left Georgia with the intention of becoming an apprentice. She didn't arrive in Florida until the 25th, and that's when surveillance caught her at the gas station at 2:20 and 3:06 p.m. They were then seen at a Family Dollar at 4:51 p.m. After that is when they allegedly went to the beach with Ryan. She is seen again at 8:35 p.m. picking up food from a cheesecake factory. The last sighting of her is when they arrived back at the gas station at 10:15 p.m. They got a soda and gas and left again with Ryan. Leila was never seen alive again after that. The following morning, Ryan was caught on surveillance at the Edge Apartments, where Camden was ultimately found. He was then caught on a Walmart security camera at 9:30 a.m. buying large garbage bags, duct tape, and carpet odor eliminator with Leila's debit card. On July 27th, 2 days before Leila's truck was found, Ryan was caught driving it to the racetrack gas station. While there, he was seen throwing multiple items in a dumpster. Some of the items included toys and women's clothes. He was also seen dragging a large object wrapped in black garbage bags and placing bloody towels in a nearby trash can. Before that, he searched the internet for when the dumpster would be picked up and if bleach and alcohol would make chloroform. It's believed that Leila's body was in the black garbage bags he threw away. For some strange reason, Ryan tried to turn around and sell the truck for $1,000, even though he claims he paid Leila $3,000 for it. On August 16th, 38-year-old Ryan was arrested after the FBI found him traveling north toward Texas. He was then subsequently charged with second-degree murder and tampering with evidence. He's also been charged with child neglect without great bodily harm for leaving Camden at the Edge Apartments. Ryan has yet to be prosecuted, and there have been many delays with his trial. As for Camden, he was placed in foster care after being found at the apartments, but is now back with his family. Sadly, Leila has never been found. Veronica Philomena Lockyer was born on October 28, 1965, a proud member of the Kariara people from northwestern Australia. She grew up in the region of Pilbara to a very large family and bounced between a couple of different Aboriginal communities. Veronica was known to be very passionate about her culture and was seen as a role model within the community. As a young adult, she began traveling around the region, teaching the native language in order to keep the culture alive. She would end up having 6 children, with the first being born in 1983. 2 years later, she and the baby's father, Ian Cooper Sr., separated. She then met John Clinch, and together they had 3 children. That relationship also didn't last, and in the mid-1990s, she met Craig Partridge. Together, they would have 2 children together, Donna and Adell. Donna was born on March 25, 1996, and Adell was born 2 years later on April 22, 1998. Veronica's children described her as a loving and passionate mother who would do anything for her family. In August 1996, Veronica was involuntarily committed to the Graylands Hospital for psychiatric treatment. It all started when she began experiencing paranoid delusions and wanting to harm herself. She was then diagnosed with schizophreniform psychosis and depressive disorder with psychotic symptoms. At that point, doctors began suspecting her relationship with Craig was very unhealthy. He was allegedly very abusive and had even thrown a television at her, hitting her in the face. However, no matter what, she denied the abuse and said they were only arguing. She was eventually released from care a month later. By 1998, Veronica and Craig were living a transient lifestyle, bouncing from place to place. Due to her mental health issues, the only children that remained in her custody were her daughters, Donna and Adell. Later that year, when Adell was 7 months old, they strangely vanished into thin air and were never reported missing by Craig. 2 months after they were last seen, Craig was committed to the hospital for psychiatric treatment. Allegedly, he had been hearing voices telling him to harm himself and others. For the next 20 years, her family believed she had started a new life, so they never reported her missing. Around 2018, her adult daughter Donna made it a point to find out why her mother abandoned her, but to her surprise, nobody in her family had seen her or Adell since 1998. That's when she reported them missing in July 2018. After she and Adell went missing, Craig raised Donna until she was 14 years old. She recalled him being a violent man who told her that her mother abandoned them to go live in Port Hedland. Sadly, she had never even seen a photo of Veronica until the police showed her one. Craig made sure that she was never discussed in the home, and when Donna would ask, he would respond, and I quote, "You don't want to go there." Once an investigation was opened, Craig was questioned but denied involvement. He said that when she vanished, he had dropped her and Adell off at a shopping center in Midland following an argument. That's when he claims he saw them get into a taxi, never to be seen again. During questioning, he admitted that their relationship had been volatile and said they had separated around the time Adell was born in April of 1998, but reconciled not long after. He said they broke up again just before Christmas of that year, around the time she and Adell disappeared. While there is no evidence to officially name Craig a suspect, there is also no evidence to rule him out either. Investigators now believe they are both deceased. However, as of 2024, they've never been found, and this case remains unsolved.